My name is Isla Monroe, and for most of my 27 years, I have been a curator of beautiful, quiet things. In my work as an interior designer, I orchestrate harmony from chaos, coaxing color, light, and texture into spaces where people can breathe. My own apartment, a small sanctuary overlooking the gentle bend of the Riverwood, is a testament to this philosophy. Every object has its place, every surface is clean, and the air hums with a peaceful, orderly silence. It is a life I have meticulously built, a fortress of calm against a world that often feels too loud. I'm organizing the stack of mail on my desk, a ritual I perform each morning with my first cup of tea, when I spot an unfamiliar envelope. It's thick, creamy cardstock, embossed with a swirling, opulent logo, the Serafina Estate. It's the most exclusive wedding venue in the region, a place of fairy tale grandeur and astronomical price tags. Strange. I don't remember receiving anything from them before. I slide my finger under the flap, the paper smooth as a petal, and pull out a neatly folded contract. The elegant letterhead catches the morning light streaming through my floor-to-ceiling windows. My teacup freezes halfway to my lips as I scan the document. There, at the bottom of the final page, beneath a staggering figure of $85,000, is my signature. Except it isn't. Not really. The loop of the I is too flamboyant, the tail of the too sharp. It's a masterful imitation, the kind of forgery born from years of casual observation, but I would know my own handwriting anywhere. This is the hand of my sister, Stella. Those distinctive, almost aggressive curls at the end of each word, the way she presses the pen down hard on the page, leaving an indentation on the other side. She's forged my name on a contract for $85,000. The room seems to tilt on its axis. My fingers go numb, and the fine porcelain cup slips, not shattering, but landing with a dull thud on the plush wool rug. Hot tea seeps into the fibers, a dark stain on the cream-colored landscape of my morning, but I barely feel its heat against my ankle. This can't be happening, I whisper to the quiet room, to the ficus tree in the corner and the dust motes dancing in the sun. My hands tremble as I grab my phone, my thumb fumbling over the keypad as I dial the number printed at the top of the contract. My heart pounds a frantic, suffocating rhythm against my ribs. The Serafina Estate, how may I help you? A cheerful, polished voice answers. This is Isla Monroe, I manage, my own voice a reedy, unfamiliar thing. I'm calling about a wedding contract for Stella Monroe. Oh, Miss Monroe. Yes, of course. We are all just so thrilled about your sister's special day. Honestly, everyone here is talking about your extraordinary generosity. It's not often we see such a beautiful, selfless gesture between siblings. The first tear slides down my cheek, hot and stinging. My generous gift. The one I never agreed to. The one I had, in fact, explicitly and painstakingly refused. Thank you, I choke out, the words tasting like ash in my mouth before I hang up. I sink into my desk chair, the smooth leather cold against my skin. Memories, unbidden and sharp, flood the carefully curated spaces of my mind. 16-year-old me, working double shifts at the local diner, the smell of grease clinging to my hair, while Stella spent her summer lounging by the country club pool. My graduation money, a precious few $1,000s from our grandmother, borrowed for Stella's impromptu backpacking trip through Europe, a debt never mentioned again. The countless small loans, the covered bills, the just until my next paycheck pleas that dissolved into the black hole of her ever-expanding wants. You're the responsible one, Isla, my mother would say, her voice soft with a pride that always felt more like a sentence. Stella's just finding herself. 2 months ago, at Sunday dinner, the scene plays out in perfect, painful clarity. Stella had flashed an engagement ring so large it seemed to bend the light around it. My father, refilling his glass of Merlot, had looked at me, his gaze heavy with expectation. We were thinking, he'd said, the wee a familiar, ominous wait, since you've just landed that big Harrison Interiors project, you could help give your sister the wedding she truly deserves. I'd felt their collective gaze settle on me, a silent jury waiting for the inevitable verdict. My hands had trembled beneath the damask tablecloth as I found my voice. "I can't afford that," I'd said, the words barely a whisper. "I'm still paying off my student loans. I have my own future to save for." The silence that followed was cavernous. My mother's disappointed sigh, a small, sharp sound. My father's brow furrowing in disapproval. Stella's lower lip beginning to tremble in a performance she'd perfected since childhood. "Family takes care of family, Isla," Dad had finally said, his voice imbued with the gentle, unyielding authority that had shaped our entire lives. "That's how we raised you." My mother had reached across the table, her hand cool and dry as it patted mine. "Don't you want your sister to be happy? After everything you've accomplished, surely you can manage this one thing. It's what families do." "But you got that big project bonus," Stella had chimed in, her voice recovering with startling speed. "The venue deposit is due next week." In that moment, I had seen myself with a stark, terrifying clarity. I was not a daughter or a sister. I was a resource. An ATM with a pulse, a well-funded convenience to be tapped whenever Stella desired something shiny and new. Now, staring at the forged contract, my phone pings with a new email. I glance down, my eyes struggling to focus. The subject line reads, "Creative Director Position Tidewater Design Collective." Nina, a senior designer at my firm, had mentioned this opportunity last week. A boutique firm in Charleston. 3 states away. A fresh start. I pick up the contract again, running my finger over the fraudulent signature. All those years of sacrificing, of putting my own dreams on hold, of being the responsible one. And this was my reward. Theft. A betrayal so profound it stole the air from my lungs. "This ends now," I whisper. And for the first time, something inside me, long dormant and buried under years of familial duty, begins to stir. It feels unfamiliar and dangerously close to strength. Sleep is a distant country I cannot reach that night. At 3 in the morning, the blue light of my laptop screen paints my face in ghostly hues as I navigate the digital archives of my life. My fingers feel disconnected from my body, moving with a grim purpose as I type wedding into my email search bar. The results flood the screen. There, buried among Pinterest boards and congratulatory notes, is an email thread between my mother, my father, and Stella, dated 2 months ago. The subject line reads, "Isla's contribution." My stomach coils into a tight, painful knot as I click it open. "She'll give in eventually," my mother wrote. She always does. Remember how she insisted she wouldn't pay for Stella's car repairs last year? Within a week, she'd written the check. "We just need to apply the right kind of pressure." Stella's reply appears beneath it. "If she doesn't, we'll figure something out." Dad says her credit score is excellent. It would be a shame not to use it for something so important. A wave of nausea washes over me, cold and visceral. They weren't just asking for my help. They were planning to take it, with or without my consent. This wasn't a recent misjudgment, it was a long-standing strategy. "They've been manipulating me for years," I whisper to my silent apartment, the words hanging in the air like smoke. I open a new spreadsheet, a crisp, clean grid on the screen, and title it, Family Debts. With a methodical, almost detached precision, I begin to scroll through years of bank statements, credit card bills, and old emails. Each entry is a small monument to a broken promise, a debt left unpaid. The summer I worked double shifts to lend Stella money for her European trip. The graduation gift from Grandma that was absorbed into Mom's temporary cash flow problem. Dad's short-lived artisanal coffee venture that required just a small seed investment from my first ever bonus. By the time the first blush of dawn paints the sky outside my window, the spreadsheet contains dozens of entries spanning nearly a decade. The total at the bottom of the screen glares back at me, a stark, unforgiving number, $47,500. And now, an $85,000 wedding venue on top of it all. I rub my eyes, which burn from exhaustion and the tears I refuse to shed. A specific memory surfaces, sharp as a shard of glass. The Christmas Stella pleaded to borrow my credit card for just one small gift for Mom. The January statement had revealed over $2,000 in charges from designer boutiques. At 9 that morning, my phone buzzes. A text from Stella. Just saw the bridal suite at the Serafina. It's divine. I'm thinking we should upgrade the champagne fountain package too. Only an extra $5,000. Thoughts? Attached is a photo of her, posing in a ridiculously plush room, a glass of champagne raised in a toast. Her fiancé is nowhere in sight. I don't respond. 20 minutes later, Mom calls. Isla, honey, did you see Stella's message about the champagne fountain? The venue needs a decision by tomorrow. I'm not paying for a champagne fountain, Mom, I say. My voice sounds stronger than I feel, less like a whisper and more like a statement. A heavy sigh travels through the phone, a familiar weapon of disappointment. This attitude isn't like you, Isla. What will people think if Stella's wedding looks cheap? The Wallace family has already commented on how wonderfully generous you're being. Everyone's talking about it. I never agreed to pay for anything. Family supports family. That's how we raised you. Her voice drops, an expertly crafted mixture of sorrow and shame. I just hope you're not becoming one of those selfish career women who forget where they came from. After we hang up, my hands shaking with a cocktail of rage and hurt, I check my credit score. It's something I haven't done since I bought my car 2 years ago. The number has dropped nearly 40 points. A hard inquiry from the Serafina estate appears in the activity log, along with a newly opened line of credit in my name. They didn't just forge my signature. They actively used my identity. My phone rings again. It's Nina, from work. Hey, did you think any more about that Charleston position? The hiring manager, Julian, called me again yesterday. They're really interested in your portfolio. I didn't realize they were that serious, I say, a flicker of something other than dread igniting in my chest. Dead serious. The salary is 20% higher than what you're making now, plus full relocation assistance. Her voice softens. And frankly, Isla, you'd be away from. Well, you know. All the family drama. For the first time in days, a fragile hope unfurls within me. After we hang up, I call Leo, my oldest friend, the only person who knows the full, exhausting extent of my family's financial expectations. They forged my signature, Leo. For $85,000. Silence hangs between us for a long moment, then his voice comes through, firm and clear. That's not normal, Isla. That's not family drama. That's exploitation. That's a crime. His words land like a verdict, a validation I didn't even know I was desperate to hear. What if I just left? The question emerges from my lips before I have fully formed the thought. Honestly, he says. It might be your only option. They will drain you dry otherwise. Later that evening, I sit at my kitchen table, updating my resume while my mother sends increasingly frequent texts about wedding decor and catering deadlines. My hands still shake as I type, but it's not from fear anymore. It's from the dizzying, terrifying thrill of possibility. The interview is scheduled for the following Monday, during my lunch break. While my family thinks I'm approving linen swatches, I'll be interviewing for a new life, 3 states away. Thank you for the recommendation, I tell Nina in the break room the next morning. You've earned it, she says, squeezing my shoulder. Your designs are exceptional. Charleston would be lucky to have you. For the first time in what feels like a lifetime, I smile. A real smile that reaches my eyes. I picture a life where my paycheck belongs to me, where my credit is my own, where family gatherings don't end with my bank account several $1,000s lighter. My phone buzzes with a text from Mom. Stella added custom monogrammed cocktail napkins. Only $4 per guest. We're at 350 now. Will you call the venue to approve? I silence the phone and slide it deep into my desk drawer. Then I open my calendar and block out Thursday lunchtime. The title reads, Important Personal Business. 3 states might not be far enough, but it's a start. Sunday dinner at my parents' house feels like walking onto a stage in the middle of a play for which I was never given a script. Before I can even hang up my coat, my Aunt Harriet envelopes me in a teary-eyed hug. You sweet, generous girl, she says, patting my cheek with a powdered hand. Funding Stella's entire wedding. Your mother told everyone. We are all so proud. My stomach twists into a nauseous knot. I think there's been a misunderstanding. Isla, my mother swoops in, linking her arm through mine with a proprietary grip. The Wallaces were just asking about the venue. Come and tell them how you insisted on the Serafina estate. She propels me into the living room, which is buzzing with relatives and family friends, all of them beaming at me with an approval I haven't earned and desperately do not want. My father stands by the fireplace, holding court. My daughter Isla wouldn't hear of anything less than the best, he boasts to his golf buddies. She said Stella deserves a perfect day. Words I never said, a generosity I never offered, now attributed to me as fact. Stella flits between groups, the radiant center of everyone's attention in a pale lilac dress. She catches my eye across the room and bounces over, something large and elaborate cradled in her arms. Look what arrived today. She thrusts an opulent floral arrangement at me. Silk ribbons and crystal teardrops hang from oversized, silver-dusted peonies. Sample centerpieces. Only $1,200 per table, and we'll need at least 30 tables. Her eyes are wide with excitement. I told them you said the sky's the limit. 30 tables? My voice comes out strangled. How many people are you inviting? My mother appears at Stella's elbow, her leather-bound wedding planner open. We're up to 350 now. It just keeps growing. That feels right for our family, don't you think? 350 guests. At a venue I never agreed to pay for. My head begins to pound with a dull, rhythmic ache. The final guest count is due next week, Stella continues, completely oblivious to the panic rising in my chest. Oh, and the planner needs your credit card for the deposit on the ice sculpture. It's going to be a pair of swans. The room spins slightly. I mumble something about needing air and escape to the quiet solitude of the back porch, the cool evening air a balm against my burning skin. The next day, during my lunch break, I sit in my car in a quiet corner of the office parking lot. My heart hammers against my ribs as my laptop screen fills with the face of Julian Hayes, creative director at the Tidewater Design Collective. He has kind eyes and a warm, genuine smile. Your portfolio shows a remarkable sense of restraint, Isla, he says, studying something off-screen. Most designers your age tend to overdo it, but your spaces. They breathe. There's a quiet confidence to them. Thank you, I say, my voice steadier than I expect. I believe in creating rooms people can actually live in, not just look at. What salary range are you looking for? 3 months ago, this question would have sent me into a spiral of stammered apologies for wanting to be fairly compensated. Today, something has shifted. Based on my experience and the Charleston market, I'm looking for $92,000 annually, plus standard benefits. The words emerge, clear and confident, from a place deep inside me I didn't know existed. Julian raises his eyebrows, but he looks impressed rather than offended. That's precisely the range we've budgeted for this position. When he makes a joke about Southern hospitality being more than just a saying in Charleston, I laugh a real, unburdened laugh that startles me with its own authenticity. We'll be in touch very soon, he promises as we wrap up. I sit in my silent car long after the call has ended, a profound stillness settling over me. I realize my hands haven't trembled once. The rest of the week passes in a blur of clandestine preparation. Saturday brunch, an invention of my mother's to discuss final details, arrives with an unwelcome surprise. I'm spreading marmalade on a piece of toast when the doorbell rings. Who could that be? Mom asks with a theatrical performance of confusion. The answer comes in the form of Audrey Lane, wedding planner extraordinaire, who breezes into the dining room with 3 bulging portfolios. Isla. Finally, we meet in person. She extends a perfectly manicured hand. Your sister speaks so highly of you. Now, I brought the updated invoices for your approval. My approval? I ask, my voice dangerously calm as I accept the folder she thrusts at me. I flip through pages of extravagant expenses, custom champagne flutes, a 5-tier cake with sugar orchids, a string quartet for the cocktail hour. Each line item bears a small notation, Monroe approval required. These charges seem extensive, I say carefully, watching Stella from the corner of my eye. What's this $15,000 line item for, atmospheric lighting? Audrey frowns, confused. But your sister said you specifically requested premium theatrical lighting for the reception. She said you wanted it to feel like a movie set. Stella's face drains of color. Isla loves dramatic lighting. Right, Isla? Could I see all the contracts, please? My voice remains even, a quiet island in the storm of rage building in my chest. Isla's just being thorough, Mom interjects, her smile brittle as she reaches for the coffee pot. Audrey, have you tried my cinnamon scones? Let me fix you a plate. As they bustle toward the kitchen, creating a diversion, I quickly snap photos of the invoices with my phone. Each one is another brick in the wall I am building around myself. That evening, Leo brings takeout and a stack of legal research to my apartment. In this state, you can break a lease without penalty if you can prove identity theft, he says, spreading papers across my coffee table. Especially with documentation showing your signature was forged. It's a clear case of fraud. Nina sends me 3 links to affordable apartments in Charleston's historic district. Not glamorous, her message reads, but clean, safe, and a 10-minute walk from the office. I click through the virtual tour of a 1-bedroom with a small, wrought iron balcony overlooking a cobblestone street. The rent is reasonable. The distance from my family feels priceless. The official offer email from Tidewater Design Collective arrives in my personal inbox on Tuesday morning. The salary matches what I requested. The start date is 3 weeks away. I drive to an empty park, the river flowing placidly beside me, and make the call. I'm delighted to accept, I tell Julian, my voice strong and certain. That night, I digitally sign a lease agreement for the Charleston apartment. The move-in date aligns perfectly with my escape. 2 more weeks. 2 more weeks until I am free. Standing in my apartment on Friday night, I survey the life I've built. The vintage Eames chair I splurged on after my first promotion, the watercolor of the coastline I bought on a rare solo vacation, the bookshelf filled with volumes on art and architecture. On my dresser sits a framed photo from my design school graduation. I'm beaming, my face full of a hopeful, naive pride, utterly unaware of how my family would weaponize that very success against me. Tears slide down my cheeks, but they feel different this time, not tears of brokenness, but of cleansing. I deserve to keep what I've earned, I say aloud to the empty room, and the words settle into the space, solid and true. The weekend becomes a strategic operation. I record a phone call with my mother where she casually discusses Isla's contribution to the wedding. I organize bank statements showing years of unusual charges. I screenshot every text where I explicitly refused to pay. On Monday morning, I call a moving company. I need to schedule for a very specific time, I explain. The 14th, around noon. We can do that, the scheduler confirms. Any particular reason for the precise timing? Yes, I say, drafting an email to the Serafina estate, attaching the forged contract and a copy of my driver's license signature. My family will be at a cake tasting. The moving day arrives with the kind of perfect, sun-drenched sky that feels like a benediction. From my window, I watch my mother's SUV pull away, my father in the passenger seat, Stella and the wedding planner in the back. My phone vibrates continuously with texts from Stella about buttercream versus fondant. 10 minutes later, the large moving truck rumbles into the parking lot. I take a deep, steadying breath, my hand on the doorknob. The movers head up the stairs just as my phone lights up again. 7 missed calls from Stella in the last 3 minutes. The game was beginning. I smile and open the door to my future. We'll start with the labeled boxes, I tell the 2 men in matching blue uniforms. My voice sounds foreign to my own ears, steady, authoritative, nothing like the hesitant murmur I've used around my family for 27 years. Inside, I hand the movers a detailed floor plan of my new apartment while dialing my landlord. Mr. Wallace answers on the second ring. I've documented the identity theft situation, I explain, sliding a folder of evidence into my messenger bag. The lease break fee should be waived under the state's tenant protection laws. Good heavens. Wouldn't want this happening to my own daughter, he says after I email him the key documents. Consider it waived. I'll have the paperwork ready for you by tomorrow. I hang up, a small, warm victory spreading through my chest. The movers work with a quiet efficiency, wrapping my carefully curated furniture while I sit cross-legged on the floor, my laptop balanced on my knees. With a few keystrokes, I transfer my bank accounts to a Charleston branch. Another click cancels my credit cards, requesting new numbers be sent to my new address. My phone buzzes. Mom's name flashes on the screen, the 5th call in 30 minutes. I silence it, but seconds later, the voicemail notification appears. Isla Monroe, my mother's voice wavers between anger and panic. Where are you? The venue needs a decision on the lighting packages by 3 o'clock. Call me immediately. 3 more voicemails follow in quick succession. I play each one, recording them as evidence while the movers empty my bedroom. My phone pings with a text from Stella. What the hell, Isla? The venue says you haven't confirmed anything. I swear if you ruin this for me I will never forgive you. 10 seconds later, answer your damn phone. 20 seconds after that, after everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us? Each message is another link in the chain of evidence I'm forging. I save them all. My father's voice booms from the next voicemail. Family takes care of family, Isla. You have responsibilities here. Don't make me come find you. I save this one twice. While I'm packing a box of personal papers, the buzzing pauses long enough for me to check social media. My mother's latest status update is at the top of my feed, heartbroken when children forget where they come from. After everything we sacrifice as parents. Family first betrayal. Comments are already flooding in beneath it. My college roommate, Claire, writes, Isla is the most responsible person I know. There must be some misunderstanding. My cousin Megan chimes in, wait, I thought the wedding was being scaled back? Aunt Diane told me it was costing over $80,000. Stella's bridesmaid, Zoe, asks, who's paying for all this? I thought Isla was just helping coordinate, not footing the entire bill. I smile as the first cracks appear in their carefully constructed narrative. My phone rings again. It's Leo. The truck with your bookshelf and desk just left my place, he says. Everything's secure in my spare room until you're settled. Thanks, Leo. I don't know what I'd. Stop. You'd do the same for me. He pauses. Nina called. Your new office space is ready whenever you arrive. The weight on my shoulders, a presence so constant I had forgotten what it felt like to be without it, lightens perceptibly. Your new landlord emailed, Leo continues. She's fine with the early move-in, and Claire says her guest room is yours for the transition week. Tears blur my vision as I realize I'm not running away alone. I am running toward a life supported by a family I have chosen. My laptop pings with an email. The Serafina Estates opulent logo appears in the subject line, Urgent, Payment Deadline Notice. I open it, reading the polite but firm reminder that the next installment of $25,000 is due in 3 days, or the reservation will be cancelled. My phone buzzes with a text from my mother's friend who works at the catering company. Your mom asked me to extend the deposit deadline again. I can't keep doing this, Isla. Business is business. Another notification, a direct message from Stella's future mother-in-law, Isla. As parents, we are becoming concerned about the wedding finances. Could we please discuss this before Sunday's dinner? My stomach flips as I realize how quickly their house of cards is collapsing. Later, while the movers are loading the last of my belongings, a text from Stella's roommate pops up. Just FYI. Stella is in her room, crying about possibly having to cancel the florist and the photographer. I take a deep breath as I prepare to walk out of my apartment for the last time. My gaze catches on the lone coffee mug I've left behind. Not a coffee mug, but the teacup that fell the morning I discovered the forgery. I've glued it back together using the Japanese art of kintsugi, filling the cracks with gold lacquer. It is more beautiful for having been broken. It sits on the counter with a note. Some things, once broken, can never be the same. But they can become something new. 4 days after the move, the text messages arrive like a swarm of hornets. 23 in the first hour after my mother discovers my empty apartment. 37 more by nightfall. How could you abandon your family? My mother writes, her words laced with accusation. My father's voice crackles through my voicemail, his usual gentle authority replaced by a raw, threatening edge. There could be legal consequences for backing out of a contract like this, Isla. Think about what you're doing to this family's name. I place my phone on the reclaimed wood coffee table of my new Charleston apartment, watching it vibrate with their incoming rage. The late afternoon sun casts long, peaceful shadows across the heart pine floors. I've been here exactly 4 days, and it already feels more like home than any place I have ever lived. My Aunt Patricia calls next. Your mother is hysterical, dear. Everyone is so confused about what's happening with the wedding. Can't you just come to your senses and fix this? I let her message play to completion, noting how easily my relatives have been enlisted as reinforcements in a war I am no longer fighting. The calendar on my kitchen wall shows the wedding date, circled in red. 1 week from today. My phone lights up with Stella's name. Against my better judgment, I answer. You selfish, ungrateful witch, she hisses, her voice raw. After everything we've done for you. Everything you've done for me? I repeat, my own voice steady in a way that surprises even me. Pay for the wedding, or you're dead to me, she says. Simple as that. That's your choice to make, Stella. I end the call before she can respond, the silence that follows feeling clean and profound. My laptop screen glows as I open my email. The document I've spent weeks preparing is attached, ready to send. I click on it one last time, reviewing each element, the formal letter to the Serafina estate explaining the forged signature, the handwriting analysis report highlighting the distinct differences between my signature and the forgery, the audio file of Stella telling her maid of honor, I just signed Isla's name as a favor, to push things along. She'll come around. I press send. Within the hour, my phone rings with an unfamiliar number. The venue manager's voice is professionally restrained, but I can hear the underlying tension. Miss Monroe, we've received your email and the accompanying documents. This is highly unusual. We will need to speak with your sister and your parents immediately. I understand, I say calmly. I have also notified my lawyer, who will be in contact with the credit bureaus. That contract was signed without my knowledge or consent. After the call ends, I draft one more email. This one is addressed to my extended family aunts, uncles, cousins. I keep my explanation dignified and factual. No accusations, just evidence. I attach copies of text messages where I explicitly refuse to pay, redacted bank statements showing the years-long pattern of financial exploitation, and finally, the venue's confirmation that the signature on the contract does not match the one on my legal identification. My phone begins ringing again almost immediately, but not with the calls I expect. It's my cousin, Daniel. Holy smoke, Isla. The venue just called Uncle Jim demanding immediate payment of the full balance or they'll cancel everything. What is going on? Ask Stella, I say. Or better yet, ask her fiancé's parents. I believe they've just been informed that the entire financial basis for this wedding was fraudulent. Over the next few hours, reports filter in through family text chains. Wedding guests begin receiving vague postponement notices. My parents are frantically calling relatives, asking for emergency loans. Stella was reportedly seen in tears at the florist, canceling the exotic orchid arrangements. The groom's father is now insisting on a hastily drafted prenuptial agreement. When my phone finally goes silent around midnight, I pour a glass of wine and step out onto my small balcony. The humid Charleston night air, smelling of salt and jasmine, wraps around me like a warm blanket. For the first time in years, my shoulders aren't clenched with tension. When I call Stella the next morning, she answers on the first ring. Come to apologize? Her voice is rough from crying. No, I say, the single word clean and simple on my tongue. I called to say that I forgive you. But I won't forget. You've ruined everything. I've started over, I correct her gently. Charleston is beautiful. My new firm values my work. My apartment gets the morning sun. We're your family, she whispers, the words a desperate, final plea. The wedding bill is the consequence of your choices, Stella, not mine, I say. Maybe it's time you learned what that feels like. I end the call before she can respond, placing my phone back on the counter. According to Leo, who still lives in Riverwood, my parents spent yesterday meeting with loan officers. Stella has downsized from 8 bridesmaids to 4. The extravagant ice sculpture has been cancelled, along with the fireworks display and the designer gown. My mother's final voicemail arrives that evening as I'm arranging books on my new shelves. Isla, she begins, her voice catching. We never meant for it to go this far. I let the message play to its end, then delete it without replying. Outside my window, the sun sets over the Charleston harbor, painting the sky in soft shades of rose and gold I never saw in my old life. Some bridges burn for a reason, I think. To light the way forward. I close my eyes and breathe deeply, feeling the weight of 85,000 expectations finally lifting from my shoulders. 3 months later, the morning light streams through the tall, mullioned windows of my Charleston apartment, illuminating the spines of my design books as I arrange them on reclaimed wood shelves. 3 months ago, these same books were packed in hurried desperation. Today, they stand as colorful sentinels of my new life. I smooth my hand over the dark cherrywood of the coffee table I found at a local antique market, feeling the rich grain of the wood beneath my fingertips. My apartment is modest, but it is mine, truly mine, with no financial ghosts lurking in the corners. My phone buzzes with a calendar reminder, project pitch, Henderson account, 10 a.m. I adjust the collar of my silk blouse, catch my reflection in the hallway mirror, and notice something different in my posture. My shoulders no longer hunch forward, carrying the invisible weight of family obligation. They are square, relaxed. The low-country sunrise bathes my small balcony in a soft, golden light as I sip my coffee. The lightness I feel isn't just the absence of debt, it's the presence of possibility. 3 months into my new position at Tidewater, Julian, my boss, leans against my desk on a Friday afternoon. Isla, we need these concept boards finalized for Monday's presentation with the hotel group. I know it's your weekend, but... He trails off, the unspoken expectation hanging in the air. The old Isla would have immediately agreed, sacrificing her weekend without a second thought. But the old Isla no longer lives here. I'm sorry, but I have plans this weekend, I reply, surprised by the calm steadiness in my own voice. I'd be happy to come in early on Monday to help finalize everything. His eyebrows lift slightly, a flicker of surprise in his eyes. Really? I figured you'd be all about earning some early brownie points. I value my personal time, I say, the word no resting comfortably on my tongue instead of sticking in my throat. I'll deliver excellent work during work hours. Later, walking along the historic cobblestones of King Street, I marvel at how easily that boundary formed. No rehearsal needed. No wave of guilt afterward. My therapist, Dr. Adler, calls this progress. Her office has become a weekly sanctuary where the tangled patterns of my family are dissected with a gentle, clinical precision. The first time you say no for yourself is the hardest, she told me during our initial session. Each time after gets a little easier. My journal entries confirm this. The first week in Charleston, woke up panicking about money. Last week's entry, spent the whole day exploring Folly Beach without checking my phone once. The genuine, unburdened laughter that bubbles up during lunch with my new colleagues still startles me sometimes. At first, it sounded foreign to my own ears after so many months of silent tension. My housewarming gathering a week later is small but vibrant. Nina flew down for the weekend, bringing a potted fiddle leaf fig that now stands proudly by my living room window. Leo sent a care package from Riverwood filled with my favorite local coffee and a handwritten note, "Proud of you" doesn't even begin to cover it. As my new friends raise their glasses to new beginnings and true family, the kind we choose, I blink back tears, realizing that family isn't always determined by blood, but by who shows up when it matters most. When Priya, our junior designer, confides in me about a client demanding endless revisions without additional payment, I recognize the familiar pattern of exploitation. Your work has value, I tell her, sharing my hard-won wisdom without needing to share my scars. And so does your time. The quiet satisfaction of helping someone else avoid the path I traveled feels like closing a circle. When an email with a link to photos of Stella's significantly downsized wedding appears in my inbox, sent by a well-meaning cousin, I feel no surge of vindication or triumph. The ceremony took place in my parents' backyard. Stella looks happy enough in a simple dress. I simply send a polite, generic congratulations card through an online service and continue with my day. The absence of anger surprises me most, not because I have forgotten, but because I have moved beyond needing to. At sunset, I stand at the Charleston waterfront, a letter from my mother, which arrived this morning, heavy in my hands. It is the first direct communication in 3 months, and its pages contain the first hints of genuine, fumbling remorse I have seen in years. I don't rush to read it. The guilt that would have consumed me months ago, the desperate need to fix and forgive, has been replaced by a quiet, steady acceptance. Some bridges burn for a reason, I whisper to the horizon, watching the sun sink into the harbor, turning the water to molten gold. The harbor stretches endlessly before me, full of directions I might choose to sail. Is forgiveness always necessary for healing? Or is walking away sometimes the greatest act of love you can give yourself? I don't know the answer yet. But for the first time in my life, I have the space, the peace, and the freedom to figure it out on my own terms. And that feels like coming home.